Hey, today's January 17th, 2017. I haven't done a video this year yet. I think my last video was in December. So Happy New Year to everybody. And one of my New Year's resolutions, of course, is to maintain some sort of more consistent practice of the cello. Even if it's given in, I'm tired coming home from work, I want to pull out the cello maybe for 15, 20 minutes, even just to practice some scale, some fingering exercises, some vibrato, as I've been doing. So that's definitely something I want to work on this year, and I hope that's part of other cellists, beginner cellists like myself, hopefully part of their, or probably part of their regimen as well. So I've been kind of a little bit slow to start this year. Haven't practiced too much the first couple of weeks. My instructor was also out of town, and I also was lazy myself. So just trying to get back into the groove of things. And today I want to just talk about, I continue to mostly just play around with the vibrato more. I've been talking about this topic for the last few videos now. It's become a bit of a fascination for me, mostly because I think it adds a lot of value, and so it's definitely worth investing more practice time in, maybe early, or and that's not to say that what I put in now is the only practice I need to do. Of course not. But sort of earlier on in my vibrato training, I become a little bit more frustrated when my arms and my fingers don't perform as well as they like. So I'd like to give it a little bit more practice time. As they say, the more time you put in, the better you'll be. And also, very important lesson, I believe this was from Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, talking about that you should not expect to be good at the beginning. So I am still a beginner cellist. It's been how long now? Almost, I want to say, more than 10 months, almost 11 months, I would probably say. I have to check on that. I think it's almost 11 months. But I still consider myself quite a beginner. I'm only been taking like private lessons once a week or so, and just the practice I put in when I'm not too exhausted from work, or mostly mentally drained from work, to come home and to try to touch the cello a little bit and make some sounds with it. So certainly that deserves some more consistent concentration. Again, another thing from Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. I don't know why that's been a theme this week. I've been thinking about that a lot, and another sort of interesting lesson from his book is the concept of deliberate practice. So how I just mentioned that I come home from a tiring day at work, and I don't feel like I want to spend too much time with this. So if I take the cello out and I just go through it a little bit mindlessly, in fact that might be not as much value. So certainly when you're in the moment, when you're in your practice space and you're gearing up for practice, to think of it as, here's 15-20 minutes, and let me try to forget about what happened today, any worries that are going to happen, I'm going to have to face tomorrow, and things along that line that's occurring in your life. Put that aside for a second and really pay attention to what you're practicing in that short amount of time frame, and sort of focus on, how is it sounding today? What do I want to, work on? What errors in particular? Keep it very small. What little error in a particular piece am I having some problems with? And I'm going to try to drill that piece, slow it down, think about it, reflect on it, and work on that. That little bit of music there, a little bit of technique, or a little bit of tonalization, in which will help us improve in the future. So keep it small, keep it isolated, keep it concentrated, is how I think about deliberate practice when learning a musical instrument. So just me myself, sometimes I do like to just run through a song, and that in itself gives me some satisfaction, some sort of feeling of accomplishment in terms of, I played the song. I didn't just sit in front of a TV and watch a TV show. Instead, I chose to take out the cello and work on it a little bit, give it some practice. But in order to optimize our practice, I guess that's what ultimately this is sort of talking about, is in order to optimize it and make it worthwhile, since I'm not giving it that much time overall, to make it deliberate practice and more and more deliberate practice over a long duration of time. Ultimately, hopefully, we can become proficient and attain some level of mastery in what we are trying to do. So, long-winded intro, of course, but again, Happy New Year to everybody. And today, what I want to talk about is practicing the vibrato again. But this time, I've been working on this for a couple of practices at least, is practicing with the metronome, which creates quite an interesting way to exercise the vibrato. So, what I mean by exercising the vibrato with a metronome is to make it a little bit more consistent in the frequency of that vibrato. So I'll start off slowly, and just to warm up, and you can sort of see how this has been working for me. And I'm sure many of you have tried this already for your practice, regular practice, or focusing on the vibrato. But I just want to talk a little bit about it. So I'm going to set my metronome here at, let's say about, let's just try somewhere like 60. And I'll go ahead and start this, and hopefully you can hear it. So it's going da, 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 da. And obviously that's very slow for vibrato, but this doesn't mean that my frequency has to go like this. Because, that's kind of weird. It has a weird sound, and it doesn't give me the satisfaction of a vibrato. So you can increase the number of intervals within this metronome setting. So instead, I'll go here. I'll probably fit in 2 vibratos per tap. Oh. So you get the idea, and what I've been trying to train with is, one, get it to try to match the speed I put in there, and obviously you can increase the number of vibrato intervals with whatever you're setting there. So if I try to fit in, for example, 3 vibrato in this, it will go something like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. Yeah, there it goes. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. And increasing speed is one way I've been playing around with exercising this, the speed, but as I've been trying to, let me stop this for a second. As I've been trying to introduce vibrato to some of the past songs I've been playing, I've been talking about this before, where I've been going back to Suzuki Cello School Volume 1, playing some of the earlier songs that I've been learning in my cello practice, and trying to add vibrato to that creates a whole new world, a whole new dynamic that I find very, very fascinating, and brings it to life in a whole different level. And one of the difficulties that I've been encountering when doing so is vibrato as well as changing fingers. I'm just exercising vibrato. I'm doing one finger. My finger, in fact, may not be necessarily ready to jump to a different finger and to initiate vibrato as well. So the practice of maintaining a particular speed, switching fingers, and initiating and maintaining the same speed. So let's give that a try on the same setting here, 60. And what I'll do is I'll just do like a simple scale. Might be a good start to this, or even just on one string. So it takes a bit of focus on trying to maintain the speed. It takes a bit of focus on switching your fingers and having your fingers be in the place that you can then initiate the vibrato. So it sort of gets away from some of the bad habits that I think I've been kind of picking up, where if I'm doing vibrato on let's say the pinky finger, these other fingers are totally unengaged. Sometimes I even start to tuck them over here where they are not ready to jump back into the game. So I want to keep my sort of fingers sort of floating there, close to maintaining this sort of C fingering at all times. I know certainly if you know that you're on the longer note and you do want to emphasize the vibratos, and I've even seen some other people, some professionals, when they do vibrato, they might totally take their other hands off, and you'll really hear them sort of really, and there's these other fingers here, you see how they're sort of curled and out of the way. They might do this just to gain a little bit more leverage. That's how I'm thinking about it. But for me as a beginner, I probably should try to keep my fingers close to the string, such that I can shift to the other finger. So let's give this one more try, probably on a different setting, and let's talk a little bit more about some of the other exercises that I do with the metronome. Okay, so let's speed this up a little bit, because sometimes, even if I'm on 60, you can probably try to fit in 4 vibratos on here. Let's try a different string here. It's a little bit hard to count it through, so let me try to count it out loud first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I find that try to count 4 at this pace is a little difficult to do. So sometimes I just instead of trying to do that, to counting 2 seems to be pretty easy for me to do. So instead of trying to count 4 at 60, I can certainly just up this guy to, let's say, 120. Let's see what that sounds like. That's doubling the pace as before, and I should be able to just count 2 here, and I think that works out to be about the same. So if I count 2 here, it'll go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I find that sometimes the faster pace, I lose actually the consistency of speed. So let me dial this guy back down to somewhere around 90. Around 90. And let's continue to practice switching between the strings, switching between the fingers. So we'll start off with a scale. And again, on the C string here, the C string requires a little bit fatter, wider vibrato. So let me try to emphasize that. Let me make sure I'm staying on beat. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. So besides just going, in one direction, another thing I've been trying to do is, mix it up a little bit. Sometimes go downwards, so, and then sometimes come back up. What I'm training there is, again, the positioning of my fingers need to be ready in both directions. So even as I'm coming down to here, I need to know what it feels like to come back up as well. So coming from, let's say, the number 3 fingering back up to number 1, for example. So that's even skipping the finger. So, feel free to experiment as you see fit. That's sort of just what I've been playing around with, and I find it kind of fun. It's a fun exercise to try to see if your fingers will be ready. First of all, to try to maintain a speed of vibrato, as well as shifting between strings as well. So maybe I jump from somewhere. Actually, I haven't tried this that much, but jumping not only from adjacent strings, but jumping from, let's say, the G string here, and then jump into the A string. So obviously it makes the cello really sound like the cello to me. I don't know what I've been hearing before vibrato, but the vibrato sound of the cello is what I think the natural sound of the cello should be. It should have a bit of a resonance, and whether it's the natural resonance of the cello or sort of like create this dynamic with it. It really brings out the beauty of the sound of the cello, as well as the beauty in the piece itself. So I hope that it gives some of you some interesting ideas for what to sort of exercise, and I've certainly learned a lot from a lot of you by watching other people's videos and seeing how other people practice the vibrato. But yeah, more fun with the vibrato coming along, and probably next week I'll maybe come back to working on some of the pieces as well, the musical pieces, and continue to experiment with vibrato exercises, throwing in vibrato into one of the older songs as well, and continuing to learn more. So good luck to the rest of you, and hopefully you guys are putting in your deliberate practice this year.